Are you successful? I mean, really, do you consider yourself successful? I mean, what does that even mean? What does that even mean to you? Is that the same as what it means to me, or him, or her over there? The tramp, the person who's boarding the private jet, the person who's sitting in his own rundown cottage on the end of a woodland. What does it mean to you, success? How do we define it? How do we define it as an individual, and how do we define it within society? I consider myself successful, but we'll revisit that later. First of all, let's consider how society defines success, because I think society as a whole defines success much differently than how the individual defines it. Societal success versus individual success. Have we ever thought about it like that? I don't think we do. Success is a binary thing. You're either successful or you're not. And I think that is just bullshit. Now, before we start, these are just my views. They may not be your views, but it's just here for a chat. I'm not inviting debate in the comments because I really can't be bothered. We've been through this before. I have done videos about this before in the past. And actually, there are a couple of videos that are quite relevant to what I'm going to say. So I will link those in the comments just in case some sado fancies going back and looking at even more of my tosh. Now, society was written around unwritten laws, about accepted norms, about things and rules, unwritten rules that kept society together, kept society cohesive, and anything that went against that was called anarchy. And one of the things that's been desirable in any society over the years, over the millennia, is wealth. Wealth means power. It doesn't as much now as it did, because wealth in the old days meant power in as much as you could actually start up, you could form your own army, which you can't nowadays because it's not accepted by the societal norm. So the gap between wealth and poverty. So there was wealth, which gave you great power, and then there was poverty, which gave you absolutely nothing. And success meant wealth. Success was defined as wealth. But that gap between wealth and poverty has closed over the millennia, hasn't it? It's like some Overton window that's only shifting one way. Poverty now is defined as relative poverty, not absolute poverty. Absolute poverty being not being able to feed yourself and clothe yourself and stay alive, whereas relative poverty means you are less privileged than the norm, than the average, than the median in society, and that is now classed as relative poverty. So the gap between success, the gap between wealth, success and wealth and poverty is closed up over the years. And I think this has completely redefined success. So success in the past meant wealth. It really signalled to your fellow man how much more powerful you were, how much more control you had over him. And this isn't like that anymore. But I do think that this massive change, it's probably changed slightly all the time, but then there was a massive change. And I think this came probably after the First World War, when innovation started, not even the Industrial Revolution, because during the Industrial Revolution there was still this massive difference between success and poverty, between success and not success, where the successful, it was all about wealth. And then after the First World War, when innovation started, things became, material things started to become available to the common man. And this gap in wealth narrowed. This means that because wealth was success was defined as wealth, that means that by dint of that, the gap between success and poverty closed as well. Success now means I can buy a bigger car than you, which is a bit unfair really, because it also means that I can house my family, I can treat my family to goodies, I can treat my family to a good education, I can treat my family, I can keep my family in health and good health care. So that's an advantage, isn't it? I'm successful because I can go out and I can treat my family to the things they like, so I can buy the things that compensate for all the hard work I'm putting in, to buy the things to compensate for all the hard work I'm putting in, to buy the things to compensate for all the hard work I'm putting in, to buy the things to compensate for all the hard work I'm putting in, to buy the things to compensate for all the hard work I'm putting in, to buy the things to compensate for all the hard work I'm putting in, to buy the things to compensate for all the hard work I'm putting in. But what if that drive to gain wealth, to gain success, has happened at your own cost? Because altruism is great, and if you're going out and making money to help others, then that's altruistic. By others I mean your family. That's a kind of local familial altruism. But altruism isn't free. Altruism comes at a cost as well, because you have to go out and earn that wealth. So that wealth is earned by hard work and sweat and toil and the sweat of your brow. And that can have effects as well, can't it? Stress isn't a good thing, but you're successful. That's all that matters. You're successful because you've got a big car and a big house. I'm going to get loads of people's hackles rising in this one, and when I've done this before, I've ended up having tete-a-tetes, let's say, in the comments. But it's all good fun, because nobody dies. Success is a movable feast. One man's success is another man's Hieronymus Bosch painting with demons eating your face off because you've been a naughty boy. My idea of success is probably different, or is definitely different, than Jeff Bezos. But it is just my view. He is as sincere in his success as I am sincere in my success. See? You cannot define success. Success in society means power and wealth and influence. But success to the individual is a totally different thing. At least I think it is. And remember, just my views. I'm happy, completely happy. And I've said this in many of my videos. I'm completely happy. And therefore, I feel that I am successful. I own very little. I need very little. I want very little. And this started off at a very young age. We won't go into this because I've talked about it before, about how I started work and started life, going from a loving family with a nice house and nice holidays and things like that, to a fairly frugal lifestyle at a very young age, and it influenced me greatly. And that's how I've lived ever since. And I'm happy. Like I say, I have little and I need little. I've made a conscious effort to have little, to owe little, because I have little and I owe nothing basically. I have no debts. Apart from my running costs of life, I don't have any debts. So that means that if my life goes completely up the creek, if everything just stops, if all my income stops, if everything stops, I will go boom. And I will pick myself up again. But if I owed lots, and I had massive debts and things like that, and my life went bump, I would go crash. And I don't want that, and I have spoken to that. I will link that video in the comments because I think that's quite an interesting video. The pros and cons of wealth are the pros and cons of having bugger all. I've spoken before about nature being my chapel, the place I come to worship, but not in a religious way at all, more in a kind of pagan kind of way, but without the dreads and the dirty fingernails. It's where I come for peace, and it costs nothing, and I don't desire at all the fancy holidays. There's nothing wrong with that, and if that's what you want to do it. Absolutely do it, because you've got to do what pleases you and yours. But because I've just got out of the habit at a very early age, I don't want anything. All I want is this. First thing in the morning, we've just got up, had a coffee and come out. And we're going through the gate now. We're coming out again where we came a few weeks ago. We're going through the gate where I had to tell Molly to hurry up. Let's see what happens this time. Straight through, like a good girl. I'm happy, ergo I am successful. I'm happy and I desire little. And that desire for little actually takes away a lot of competition for that happiness. I'm happy, at peace, and happy to be where I am. I'm also happy to have had a past that led me to this place. I had a boss once who came up from nothing. He came up from real poverty and made a lot of money. And that became his God. And he once said to me, I know this bloke, he's really successful. And he kind of aspired to be this bloke. And he said he's got this big house and he's got a load of cars. And he's loads in the bank. He's really successful. And I said, well, I'm successful because I'm happy. There's no right. There's no wrong. Don't hate me. Hate me if you want to. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's just yin and there's yang. We're all here together in this mess of a place, and we all see success differently on a personal level, and we probably all see success somewhat the same on a societal level. Success that we can be good parents, success that we can be good workmates, success that we can be a good member of a community. That's success. Success on a personal level. I'm happy. I'm wealthy. There's no right and there's no wrong. It's just yin and yang. You do you, I'll do me, and I'll meet you for a pint at the end of the day. We shall see you all on the flip. Peace and love.